Shalom Yashrallah, this is your brother Dawudah, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakak Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation, much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here lesson real quick, which is, you see it says Beijing warns Biden against arming Taiwan. All right, now there's another article as well in the news, which is going into, Taiwan, live firing at Chinese drones, all right, in their direction and things like that. So as we can see, is we'll also get into this here, this article as, provocations, all right, or how they would say, sometimes you would say, a brother and a sister, little kids, you know what I'm saying, or you antagonizing them, or, you're provoking them to do certain things, all right, but hey, this is what America does, man. All right, this is what they do, though, and then what'll 9 times out of 10 what'll happen is the majority of you Americans, you'll never really see these things that's really going on in the news, because you don't watch the news, you're not into what's going on and everything else like that. Just the same thing that's going on in the Ukraine, all right. But then when things really start popping off, you only see the reaction. So it's just like with little kids, you know about this if you have like 2 little kids, brother and a sister or something like that, or nieces and nephews, or even being a child yourself. What'll happen is you as the parent or the adult in the area, you'll come in the room and one of the children be then pop the other child, and a lot of the times, you might get onto that one child, why you hit them and everything else like that, but not knowing the whole time the other child was over there, messing with the other child, man. All right, and that child got tired of the things that was going on and reached out and, maybe popped the other child and everything, but you don't really know what was going on, but hey, this is the things that's happening. But as the scripture says, his own counsel is going to bring him down. All right, it's going to bring him into the king of terrors. You're going to hear about wars and rumors of wars. And as we get into that great day, all right, of multitudes in the valley of Yehoshaphat, World War III. All right, this is how these things shape up, man. All right, when you go into a world war, it's not just, one day things happen and it's like, all right, we're going to all be on this side and y'all going to all be on that side. You have multiple different conflicts is going on in multiple different areas. Now, nowadays they kind of like change a little bit of the definition of a superpower. And a lot of the times you people, you misuse the term superpower, but actually a superpower is, a nation that's able to fight multiple wars on multiple fronts at the same time. So for an example, the U.S. fighting a war in, let's just say, Afghanistan, and then also Iraq, then also let's just say in Syria, all at the same time. So as you can see, you have the U.S., which is back in a war, having a proxy war with Russia right now in the Ukraine. All right, and is about to start another proxy war right now with China via Taiwan. All right, and have other backings around the globe as well too, man. All right, so this is what you're starting to see that's going on at this here point in time. All right, but it says Beijing warns Biden against arming Taiwan. All right, now we could switch this out for the exact same gameplay, as what happened in the Ukraine. Because like I said, most of you Americans, just listen to most of these damn Americans, how when things first started popping up, Vladimir Putin's the evil dictator. He done invaded Ukraine. He's done this and done that. But you forgot about all the articles that said things like this. It says Beijing warns Biden against arming Taiwan. All right, you forgot about the articles that says Russia warns the U.S. about arming the Ukraine. Y'all forgot all about those things, but then you hear the narrative, Russia invaded the Ukraine and things like that. So let's get into this one. It says Beijing warns Biden against arming Taiwan. And again, like I said, there's another article that came out today, which is speaking about Taiwan shooting pretty much at Chinese drones. All right. So it says Washington must stop. And again, this is like I'm saying, they're like children. All right. When one of them is provoking the other child, and then that one child pops, goes off and pop the other child. And then, all of a sudden the child comes in, starts screaming, and you come into the room and then you discipline the child that wound up popping the other child. But it's like, well, wait, I was defending myself. So how people will look at these things is like, look, Taiwan is over here shooting at Chinese drones, and the drones ain't really doing nothing, combative towards them. They're not firing at them or anything. But then once the Chinese drone gets shot down and then China goes to retaliate against these things, all the people will see is, the Chinese retaliating against these things. Or, and a lot of times, because people talk about the war between China and the U.S. All right, now you have to really understand a war and things like that. Now, with China is not really a formidable country as far as going to war with the U.S. because they don't really have too many aircraft carriers or, things to be able to get their equipment over to America. I believe they only own one aircraft carrier, so they can't really bring their equipment to America to wage war with them. All right, this is how America has their advantage with them, and this is why they want places like Taiwan and Ukraine as better battle stations to, as a foundation to wage war against these other countries. All right, and this is why you see NATO pulling up on them like that. This is the advantage that the U.S. has, being on the other side of the globe, that these nations would have to cross, the damn sea just to get over towards them, just to wage war on them, and they would have to keep restocking and everything. So when you go back to, Pearl Harbor and things like that, why those pilots decided to go as kamikazes is because they had enough fuel to make it over to, Pearl Harbor, but they didn't have enough fuel to make it back. All right, so again, you still, the land masses ain't never got no closer. Well, it has in America's perspective because, they got now bases closer up onto their enemies. But as far as, China and them trying to wage war to America, like I said, they, for them to try to bring all their tanks over to America, they got one aircraft carrier, man. For them to start bringing planes over here and everything else like that, they can't really wage war, like how you would think waging war into America. So that's really a lose-lose for them. All right. But however, what China can do to America as far as waging war with them, how America's trying to wage war with Russia with these sanctions. All that China has to do is just stop sending goods over to America. Then, America is like, yo, you don't got enough gas to win this race. Think about it in NASCAR. You can have the fastest car, on the track. But if you ain't got enough gas to make it around the whole track, then what good is having the fastest car? You're going to run out of gas before you can even make it to the finish line. So I could have the slowest car, the car that's not going to make it or anything else like that. Might take me 2 hours to get around that track, but, you only going to make it 100 feet with that gas that you got. So once your car run out of gas, I got 2 hours to finish this here race. All right. So this is, what you have going on between China and America. Now, and put this into mind, America's already economically crippled right about now. All right, just like how the EU can't really stand to keep putting sanctions on Russia right now because it's like, well, we got the manpower to fight against y'all and keep arming them and everything else like that. But what good is it keep fighting up against people if we can't really get our resources that we need from y'all? You're going to basically bankrupt us to where we're not even really worried about sending arms over there. We're just trying to keep the damn lights on over here. All right, so you have to understand these different things from these types of wars. But, hey, this is what's bringing America down right about now. And a lot of this economic turmoil that America's going through is all being caused by what? The decisions that's being made by the leadership. All right, so it says Beijing warns Biden against arming Taiwan. Washington must stop arms sales to Taipei. China Assembly in the U.S. says China will respond with decisive and firm measures if Washington continues military cooperation with Taiwan. A spokesman for China's embassy in Washington, Liu Pengwei, not even sure, has said on Monday. The statement came after Politico reported that Joe Biden administration is planning to ask lawmakers to approve an estimated $1.1 billion in arms sales to the island. It says the American arms sales to Taipei represent a blatant violation of the One China policy and other diplomatic agreements reached between the U.S. and China, Louis told the TASS news agency when asked about reports of weapons transfer. And now, again, this is just like, in America, you accessory to a certain crime. You the one gave them this here front money to go in and commit this here crime. You gave them the money so they can go buy these drugs, so they can go and sell these drugs to keep it moving, right, to run this enterprise. So this is the same thing they're saying, like, well, wait a minute. You over here arming these folks, and this is before, like, again, if you want to see what it would look like, and fast forward, look at the Ukraine. The reason that the Ukraine is fighting Russia is because America and their Western allies are arming them with weapons and financing them to be able to do all these things. They wouldn't have the financial backing to even be fighting up against Russia if it wasn't a fact. Russia wouldn't have to be sitting there risking the lives of their soldiers, their economy, and everything else like that if America wasn't arming and backing them. So now you see the same thing about to start happening with Taiwan. All right. It says such deals are embolden separatists and escalate tensions in the Taiwan Straits, says the spokesman added. The U.S. side needs to immediately stop arms sales to and military contact with Taiwan, stop creating factors that could lead to tensions in the Taiwan Strait, and follow through on the U.S. government statement of not supporting Taiwan's independence, the diplomat stressed. And again, like I said, this is the same game plan that's been going on over there in Russia, man. The same game plan that they had going on in Syria, with arming, it was first called, the Free Syrian Army, but the the Syrian Defense Forces or something like that. All right, there was another group that they was arming inside of Syria. They was arming them to overthrow the actual legitimate government of Syria. All right, so instead, these are proxy wars. This is what you call a proxy wars, whereas America's not directly waging war against Russia and China, or in that case, Syria, but they're arming other people and financing them to go fight these wars for them. All right, it says according to sources cited by Politico, the arms package of Taiwan considered by Biden administration to include 60 AGM 84L Harpoon block anti-ship missiles and $355 million to 100 AIM non-X Block 2 Sidewinder air-to-air missiles and $85 million as well to surveillance radar contact extensions worth $655.4 million. All right, so let me just finish this off. It says tensions in Taiwan Straits have been running high since early August when the U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taipei. Despite repeated warnings from Beijing, the controversial trip sent relations between the U.S. and China to a tailspin and triggered multiple rounds of Chinese military drills in the area. Beijing considers Taipei part of China and views visits by high-ranking foreign officials as attacks on its sovereignty and violates the One China policy enshrined in the 1979 Taiwan Relations Act, as well as a number of official statements. Now, let me finish this off. It says the Taiwan Strait has which separates the self-governed island from Taiwan Strait, which separates the self-governed island from mainland China, has been a source of military tension since 1949 when the Chinese nationalists fled the island after losing the civil war to communist forces. Now, even in these documentations, like they said that they signed in 1979, all right, even when you go into these things, America don't even recognize Taiwan as their own independent nation. All right, the most of the UN don't either. But hey, again, what it's not what it is what the perception of these people are. Because again, just like with the Ukraine and other scenarios, obviously Ukraine was overthrown by basically a coup with America. They wouldn't hijack that country, say, oh no, we want to vote for this, but really it was just America wound up hijacking that spot, man. And this is what they're trying to do with Taiwan as well too. But hey, this is bringing you closer and closer to World War III. All right, so let's start out here now, Matthew 24. All right. Matthew 24, I'm going to start at verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and end of the world? All right. So as we can see, measuring the time diligently, as we see, well, let's just jump down to verse 6. And when you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, see that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence in the earth, and earthquakes in diverse places. Now we see the pestilence and the plagues and all these different things, and also the wars and the rumors of wars which are taking place, which is also leading into what? World War III. All right. So like I said, you're not going to just wake up one day and just see, everybody jumping on one side and other people jumping on the other side. What you're starting to see is these different skirmishes, which is bringing, people out to decide to, like the scriptures say, beat your plowshares and your pruning hooks and the spears. All right, getting the mindset of these different nations ready for war. Because, for instance, like with the America arming the Ukraine, which has got Russia pissed off and getting them in a defensive position, all right, willing to defend their land. All right, you have the scenario of, America and the Western allies putting sanctions on Russia. Now, with putting these sanctions on Russia, what does that do? It cut off the supply line to Europe and everything else like that when it comes to natural gas and all this here energy, which is also putting them into a recession, all right, economically crashing their economy and things like that, which is going to put in, what type of taste do you think that's putting into their mouth, man? All right, hey, so look, guess what? If they ain't trying to give us nothing, we're going to have to either go to war. But we know, according to the prophecies, that ultimately these things are going to turn, America's allies against them, all right? But this is how we get to those places to where, these nations decide about going to war. All right. Whereas, China, because these things have been going on since really before 1979, but these things have been going on since then. But hey, what's really causing the real uproar with these things? Well, now America's starting to arm them. America's starting to put weapons over there. Now, if you put these weapons over there, who the hell are you going to be aiming these weapons at? Who do you think that, and once you establish your own puppets over there as your government, all right, you can have them saying whatever. It's the same thing that's going on in Ukraine, man. All right, Russia was never really invading them, but then it was until they started, they had that coup over there in 2014, I believe it was. They had that coup that went over there in Ukraine, all right, put up their own puppet, and they started arming them. Who was they aiming their weapons at, all right? Who was they looking towards as a threat? Russia, man. So these nations, they're going to start realizing, that, well, let me go ahead and grab that real quick, and Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5, starting at verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, and neither keepeth at home. who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right, and so, hey, transgressing by his wand, all right, which is these philosophies, his doctrines, and things like that. Like I said, what they do is they go into these different nations and they overthrow their governments with these coups and everything else like that, and create these laws and these false doctrines and everything else like that. Like with NATO, they weren't going to move an inch towards the east. All right, they weren't going to go any further to the east, but now they're all the way up onto the doorsteps of Russia. All right, NATO was formed to combat the rise of the communist, what they call the Red Scare, communist USSR. All right, well, the USSR don't exist no more. All right, and Russia's not a communist nation no more. So, not in the communist state that they would, have you be afraid of from way back in the day. All right, these nations are a little bit different, and we're not really getting onto these different types of governmental rule because, there's something to say about all of that. Like, well, really, it's all the same shit, when you really look at it at the end of the day. But because you have these elites that run all this. But nevertheless, on the surface level, they was like, oh, we got to stop the Red Scare, the spread of the Red Terror and everything else like that, man. All right, but hey, even when you look at places that are still so-called in the face of being called communist states like China, all right, they don't even, they have a how they call it, a hybrid type state, all right, to where they say it's a democracy slash communism and things like that. So it's not full-blown communist anymore. But nevertheless, these are the things that they want to do, and going over here and overthrowing these different governments, setting up their puppets, all right, destabilizing these different areas, overthrowing these nations. This is why they gathering up onto them all these different nations, man. All right, getting them up under their wing to take not only their resources but use them, for a foothold when it comes to war. All right, like I said, they made this transgression by wand. Oh, we're not going to move an inch closer, towards NATO or towards Russia. All right, towards the east or the USSR at that point in time. When he was talking about disbanding, what was it, the Berlin Wall, and then we had East and West Germany, and then also the collapse of the USSR, talking with Gorbachev and things like that. But hey, as all those things went away, what did America and the West kept doing, man? They kept encroaching onto Russia, man. Even though Russia was pretty much, or the USSR, Slovakia, was dissolved into a bunch of smaller countries, and they're still over there encroaching. They're taking up those smaller countries. But what is this doing, man? Making them wake up and realize it's like now you poking at the bear, so to say, man. All right, now you also doing the same thing with China, man. All right, so what do you think that they're going to lead? It's going to lead to. Verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunt and proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? All right, so hey, now you're starting to see, these different nations. Let the weak say I am strong. All right, now you're starting to see these nations. Like I said, China, isn't really in a military position to really say nothing to America. Yeah, I mean, they got nukes. Yeah, they got I believe they have the largest military. But again, what good is having the largest military if you can't move them off of mainland China? You see what I'm saying? They only got one aircraft carrier, and they would have to bring all their shit to America to invade America. And that's what, 2 to 3 days of sailing throughout the sea to where, America just could be sitting there picking them off. They would see them rolling up on them like that. Whereas America, they got, bases in South Korea and things like that where they could just launch missiles over North Korea and be hitting China from right then and there. They're trying to get the same foothold with Taiwan right there to be like, yeah, we could just be launching from Taiwan the whole damn time, man. All right, it's no big deal. Launching from Japan and things like that, man. So this is, America's game plan. But, when it comes to China, China has a secret weapon. Well, we supply y'all with damn near everything. We, raise up trade, cut off trade and things like that, where, you're going to be scrambling to get your products from somewhere else. All right. Just like how the EU, you see the EU, when they start going up against Russia, they're like, all right, we could just start slowing down that natural gas pipeline, to you, man. All right. Then y'all going to start be scrambling for energy and things like that. You're not going to have the energy to fight, man. All right, and pun intended, So it says, verse 7, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and all the city, and of the city, and all that dwell therein. All right, so hey, ultimately, all these different nations are going to start, looking at the toll that America's been taking on them, man. Not only their enemies, but also their allies, man. Because please believe that the EU right now is looking at the toll that this here war and these sanctions is having on to their country and what's really going on with Russia. Russia's like, yo, we can go another 2-3 years with this shit going on, but y'all can't even make it through the rest of this year. So, I mean, what y'all really want to do? America not sending over there well, they are, but they're sending them a higher cost of energy at a higher cost and a cheaper quality of it, man. All right, and America's the one benefiting from it. The EU is only just in a lose-lose scenario with these things, man. So, hey, this is what it is. Let me go to this. We'll close out. And what did I want to grab? Okay. Uh, Job 18:7. It says, "The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down." So let me go and read that in NLT. "The confident shroud of the wicked will be shortened; their own schemes will be their downfall." And so you're starting to see all the things economically that's going on right now in America, in which, in the EU is 10 times more magnified than what you have going on in America right now. But all the economic woes that you see going on in America is all because of their own doings. It's not because these other nations decide to band together and just start doing these things to America, and people are waging war against America. Nah, it's because, first of all, they decided to shut down their country over the pandemic. Then they decided that they wanted to go and start arming these Ukrainians and put weapons on the border of Russia, gas prices and everything else like that. Now they're about to start doing the same thing with China and Taiwan. So, hey, as things are getting more and more economically hard for you over here, just think, hey, this is all your fault, man. Your own schemes are bringing you this way, man. All right, and the same goes with the EU, hey, because y'all decided, the beast decided to follow in league with the whore. All right, this is what you're going to get, but it's ultimately going to wake the beast up to start to hate the whore. All right, to fulfill biblical prophecy, man, by shooting those missiles upon the whore. All right, it says he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. The gin shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. All right, the snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. All right, and this is what you have going on, to where they're going to say, you know what, we're going to have to just go to war. All right, and this is what's in the back of the minds of these Europeans as well, too, man. They're going to be like, hey, we got to have to go to war because, hey, man, we out here broke, man. We got to go for the gusto. It's like when people start losing everything, they wind up losing it, man. If you can't get no job, you can't do this, you can't do that, you get people in certain scenarios. This is why you have so much crime that thrives in the hood, because you've taken away all their resources, man. All right, when you take away all the resources in the hood and things like that, you see what Jake did. All right, well, fuck it, we gotta get it the ski mask way, man. Put on our mask and pull out the choppers, man. We gotta go start pushing weight on the block and things like that, man. So see, Jake, Jake only result to those types of lifestyles when there's no more resources, no more jobs and things like that around. But if they getting paid, a 6-figure salary, they're not selling no dope. They're not going up in there and running up in nobody's house. But when they ain't got no resources, that's what they start doing. So what do you think that these Europeans is gonna start doing in this here point in time, man? When they don't have no more, their economy is collapsing, following after America, man, and they're gonna start, it's time to pick up the weapons. I did a video not too long ago about how, they're telling these Brits to start saying the last goodbyes and have the last little times with their family, because, hey, the next war front is in Russia, man. They're already mounting up for these things, but we know, according to biblical prophecy, man, they're gonna wind up turning on America and gonna wind up wasting Babylon the Great. All right, so it says, it shall devour the strength of his skin, even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. All right, and so let me read verse 15. It says, let me go down to 17. It says, it shall dwell in his tabernacle because it is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered in his habitation. All right, so let me read that in NLT. It says, the homes of the wicked will be burned down. Burning sulfur rains down on their houses, talking about those ICBM thermonuclear missiles. All right, it says, his root shall be dried up, his root shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off. His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the streets. He shall be driven from the light into the darkness and chased out of the world. All right, verse 19. It says, he shall neither have son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwelling. And that's going to be the end-all be-all for Babylon the Great. But as you can see, with these different articles and things like that, you Americans are going to get a rude awakening one day. It's like, how do we wind up in World War III and everything else is going on? Hey, and you know that you Americans are asleep, you're drunk, and don't know what the hell is going on, because you're over here in uproars about these elections and storming the Capitol building over elections. You storming this shit over the stuff that the community got going on with your children and everything else like that. You goddamn rioting and protesting over some of the dumbest shit in the whole world. But the fact that you in a nuclear scope right about now, y'all are oblivious about these things, man. The things that your leaders is doing, you're oblivious about these things. You're not complaining about these things, man. But you'll sit there and complain about, Lizzo didn't win the best, whatever at this award show. You complain about those things, but you don't complain about being put in a nuclear scope, man. But hey, this place is gonna be wiped off the face of the earth in World War III, and it's rapidly approaching, as we can see. The the writing on the wall, measuring the time diligently. We see how these things are all taking place, man. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and endure the afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.